Ladies and gentlemen, cars, things Americans seem to love, they can actually make you broke and continue to keep you broke for the rest of your life. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, I'm not trying to be exaggerated, but the fact of the matter is, I don't know if you've noticed lately or if you looked at the car market, but new cars across the board are crazy expensive. And don't get me wrong, I actually enjoy cars and I like going to car shows and watching different YouTubers talk about cars and their collections and all of that good stuff. But what's funny is as I've gotten older and I've made more and more money and I've gained earning potential year over year, I've actually stopped caring more and more about the car I drive. Before we get into it, I just want to thank you so much for watching me play terribly some Battlefield and also ramble on about a topic that I find interesting or hope that you do too. And if you enjoy this, please subscribe. That way you don't miss any other videos that I crank out in the future. And speaking of cranking out things, people love cranking out bad financial decisions. And one of the worst that I see people make is buying vehicles. And just to give you a little context about myself, I make over 100K a year in just my base salary alone. And I drive a 2018 Honda Civic, so it's not even the newest refreshed model that Honda's come out with. It's actually the previous version before that. And I honestly like the car. I think it's fine. It does what I need it to do. It's super reliable. And before that, I was driving an Audi A4, which was the exact opposite. Not only did that car have issues come up every now and then, but the issues fixes were extremely expensive. And eventually the engine of that car blew up. And I'm like, well, I am tired of these expensive cars just draining my bank account. I'm going to buy a used car that's reliable and gets me from point A to point B. And that's when I purchased a used Honda Civic. That was back in 2020 during COVID, actually right before all the car prices skyrocketed. So the timing for a change was pretty good. And every now and then I think about upgrading. I'm like, well, I've waited long enough. I've had this car long enough. Maybe I should get something a little bit nicer, something with a remote start because where I live, it's cold. And especially this year, I could have used a remote start or a heated steering wheel. I have none of those features. But instead, I said, no, you know what? This car is actually still pretty good for me. And I don't see a point in taking money that I'd rather just invest in the stock market and put it into this car. But then I see some of my friends who are making significantly less than me. I'm not throwing shade, I'm just speaking the truth. Maybe they'll be making 50K a year and they'll go out and buy a brand new car with a 72-month finance terms at 6% interest rate, where the sticker of the car comes out to be like 50K alone. So they're paying for a car plus interest what they make pre-tax in a year. And when I see this, it just breaks my heart because it's not that these people are stupid, it's just that they get caught up in this idea that everything we need to do revolves around driving a nice car. And for Americans especially, a lot of people link their value or their worth to the car that they drive. And I just think that's just so absurd. And here's a little stat for you. As of late 2025, so late last year, the average monthly car payment in America was approximately $750 a month for a new vehicle. And then for used, they were anywhere from $500 to $600 a month. And 4% of Americans, not that it's a large percentage, but still, these 4% have payments over $1,000 a month. And not only are they paying that much per month, but the time and the length of these finance terms and the length of that loan have just gotten longer and longer. I remember when 48 months was usually the most that you could have a loan for a car for. Now it seems like 6 years is normal instead of 4. So not only are they paying $750 a month just to have their car, not talking about insurance and gas and maintenance and all these other things that come with it, but they're paying that for 70 months, assuming that they keep the car and not, oh, I need to get a new one in 3 years because I deserve it. And so if you're one of these people and you're contemplating getting a brand new car because you think you deserve it, I want you to do some introspection and really think long and hard if that's the right decision for you. And I would challenge you, if you don't think it really is, here's what you should be doing instead. If you do absolutely have to purchase a different vehicle because you A, don't have one, or B, your current one is unsustainable, then I really advise you to get a used car. And probably it would be best for it to be a Japanese car like Honda or Toyota. It seems like year over year, these two manufacturers have the most reliable cars, and they're rated by that. That's not just me saying that. Every time I see what's the most reliable car manufacturers, it's always Honda, Toyota, Lexus, which is a luxury version of Toyota. But anyway, don't always think that your car has to be this brand new thing that you need to show off, because quite honestly, people might care for a split second. Oh, that car is cool. That, good for you. But then they'll just go back to not caring. And if they do only care about your car, those probably aren't the people you should be around anyway. Look at me. I make, like I said, over six figures a year with my job, and I have a fully paid off Honda Civic. It's a base model, by the way. It doesn't have any features, any quirks, as Doug DeMuro would say, at least that I know of. And it's probably worth 9 grand, if that. And I'm perfectly happy with that car for the foreseeable future. Maybe someday I will upgrade. But for me, I think the trade-off of having that car versus putting that money into an investment to make my future life hopefully really awesome and really great is not worth that temporary feeling of having this nice vehicle. And this really ties into one of the strategies that I've become a real proponent of, and that is delayed gratification. If you haven't heard of delayed gratification, well, you can thank me now. At high level, it's just resisting the immediate smaller rewards and gratification, like buying a new car or buying a new computer because you want it, or getting the latest iPhone, to instead secure a larger, more valuable reward in the future, i.e., I'm going to invest my money instead of buying that car or buying that iPhone that I don't need because mine's perfectly good the way it is and it does everything I need it to do. And with that investment, it could grow to a huge amount that I could use on something way better in the future. And it's basically overriding your brain's natural tendency that we all have for instant gratification. When we see something cool in a commercial or we see something really sweet in a store, some friend of ours shows us this new thing that we got, and all of a sudden, whoa, we want that thing. Telling that part of the brain, actually, I don't need that thing. I'd rather just make the smart choice and put my money towards something more practical, like an investment, is how I try to live my life day to day. Now, of course, I do spend money on some things instantaneously, and probably not the best choice overall. But I would say if you make the majority of your choices around this delayed gratification, I guarantee you'll be thanking yourself in the future. So what I plan on doing is keeping my Honda Civic for the foreseeable future. And then one day when it actually makes more financial sense and I say to myself, you know what, now's the time to actually get that nicer car, then I will look into it and try to make a better informed decision. And also to me with these car payments of $750 each and every month, I also think to myself, what else could I buy with that $750? If I'm not going to invest it, which is the best choice I could do, the second option is I could spend it on something different, that's $750 a month. And that could actually be, if I save it for 2 months, so $1,500, that could be a pretty cool vacation. That could be in a week at an all-inclusive resort in Cancun or something that I would get a lot of enjoyment from, some kind of experience versus just having a nicer car. So not only could you trade off with investing, but I also think of it in terms of, well, what could I also buy instead of this car with that money? And just to me, it doesn't make sense for a lot of people. So the moral of the story is if you have to buy a car, buy a used one, buy a reliable one, buy one that's a few years old because you don't need the latest and greatest. It doesn't really matter. And put that money to work for you instead. Because when it's working for you, and it works for you for a decade or 2 decades or 3 decades, it's going to be way, way more valuable than any enjoyment you got out of that car. Trust me. And once again, thank you so much for watching this. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you in a future video.